need you to understand something. Right now, as you can see, it's raining. And not only that, but I actually filmed the first version of this video about an hour ago. And the video was 20 minutes and I thought it was absolutely amazing. And then I watched the footage back and this is what I saw. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because this area that we are currently in is so beautiful that I have no choice, regardless of the conditions, but to go through the trouble of filming this again. Because look, we've been on the road for almost 3 weeks now, and we've seen a fair portion of the US. We started in Texas, we went to New Orleans. From New Orleans, we went to the East Coast, traveled all the way up through New York to Boston. From there, we went west to Chicago, saw everything in between that. And now we are currently in Colorado. This is the most beautiful place that we have visited thus far. Easily. Now, is this the most beautiful place that we're going to see? We'll have to see, because there is a place that we're going to, and if you track the direction that we're traveling in, then it becomes pretty clear where we're heading. But we are going somewhere that I think gives Colorado a run for its money. But in the meantime, not only do I want to enjoy this Colorado scenery, but I want to share it with you, because this place is absolutely stunning. I don't think I've ever met an American who doesn't like Colorado, and I see why now. This is actually my first time in Colorado. Never been here before. I don't know if I just used that roundabout correctly, but hey, we made it. But this is my first time in Colorado. This is obviously Nadia's first time in Colorado, and it lives up to the hype. This is one of the places that we've been that truly lives up to the hype. You can see we're getting back on the interstate. I hope the road noise isn't too much for you, and I hope that this rain kind of dies down as we go further along, because this scenery is just absolutely stunning, and I don't want there to be anything impeding your view of this scenery. And I don't know if you can see the GPS, but we have around 4 hours left of driving today. And we've stopped multiple times because we just keep finding these places that are stunning, and we want to enjoy as much of the scenery as possible. But truthfully, the entire drive from here to our destination for the end of today is going to be very, very scenic, just like this. So in the original video that I made earlier today, something that I was talking about was that I believe Colorado is the American equivalent of Switzerland. Let me explain what I mean. So basically, and look, I've only been to Zurich one time. I haven't seen anything else in Switzerland, but it's my understanding that amongst Europeans, generally speaking, people who are into snow sports, so who are into skiing, snowboarding, etc., go to Switzerland to do those things. Of course, there are other places. Austria, I'm sure, is one of them, but Switzerland is the quintessential location for that kind of recreation. And Colorado is the exact same for the US. Now right now, you see a lot of mountains, you don't see a lot of snow, but earlier we did pass through a section of the mountains which were not just snow-capped, but covered in snow, completely covered in snow. And it was so gorgeous, and I wish the footage would have turned out better, but this isn't that bad either. Okay, this is still really, really nice, especially coming from a place like Texas where you don't get anything like this at all. You might get a hill every now and then, and that's it. It's just flat and dead, deserted. Here in Colorado, again, this is where anybody who's into mountain sports, so all of the snow sports that I just mentioned, or anything that I didn't mention, you also have mountain biking, hiking, things of that nature. People who are into those things come here. they come to Colorado. And also Colorado, to my knowledge, is one of the wealthier states in the US, just like Switzerland is one of the wealthier countries in Europe, if not the wealthiest country. Colorado is very wealthy as well because, of course, with this kind of scenery, it attracts wealth. It attracts a lot of wealth. And on the way here, I don't know exactly where in Colorado we are right now, but we started the day in Columbine, Colorado. On the way here, we saw towns where the majority of the houses were basically right on the mountain. I'm talking about right there on the mountain, and the houses were gorgeous too. They had that cabin look, but they were also super modern. They were big, but not too big. And honestly, when we get rich, we're gonna get a house like that. We are definitely going to get a house like that in the mountains. Granted, I think I would personally prefer to have a house like that in Switzerland over Colorado, because I think of Switzerland as a nicer version, a much nicer version of Colorado. But honestly, if you're into nature, if you're into recreational sports that involve nature, I think that you would be equally happy in Switzerland or Colorado. Switzerland obviously has better infrastructure, and it may even have more economic opportunities. I'm not particularly sure about that one. But what I do know is that both of these places are world class when it comes to nature, especially mountains. You won't find any beaches in either of these two places. You might have some lakes, some rivers, things of that nature, but if you like mountains specifically, those are probably two of the best places you can be in the whole entire world. Now, again, we've been driving for quite a bit, and we probably haven't made that much progress, but I honestly kind of want to stay here. I kind of don't want to leave, but the place that we're going to, again, rivals or even exceeds Colorado's beauty, believe it or not. But this is a unique experience. Being in a place like this is something that really sticks with you, and I want it to stick with me and Nadia, not only in our minds but on camera, where we can go back and watch this footage. So if nobody else watches this, if I'm just talking to myself right now, at the very least we will be able to come back and watch this. Now, I don't know if you can see, but my side mirror right there is cooked. It is shattered, pretty much completely unusable now. Thankfully, I have the small blind spot mirror in the corner there, so I can still see if there are cars coming on that side, but even that is a little bit damaged. You might be wondering, how did that happen? And actually, Mom and Dad, if you're watching this, I don't think I've told you guys about this yet, because honestly, I'm just gonna fix it, so don't even worry about it. But basically what happened was, as you can see where we're driving, there are no street lights. So obviously it's daytime, but you don't see any street lights. So when it gets to be nighttime, when the sun goes down, when it goes beyond the horizon, it gets pitch black out here. The only light that you really have access to at that point is your headlights and other people's headlights. And the stretch of road that we were driving on yesterday was through western Nebraska and eastern Colorado. As you can imagine, it was pretty desolate. So we just had the van's headlights, and honestly, even with the high beams on, the van's headlights aren't very powerful. So it's a very dark road, and I see that there's road construction ahead. Now, there are a lot of sections of road in the US, as I've come to find out in the past couple of weeks, that are undergoing road construction. This particular section, though, I didn't see any active construction, so I don't know why they blocked the lane off, but basically they blocked the whole left lane off. And what they did was they put these cones up, but instead of putting the cones on the center dividers or in the lane that was blocked off, they put the cones in the lane that wasn't blocked off. So they blocked off the left lane and put the cones in the right lane, but on the left side of the right lane. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but the van is not a small vehicle. It's not an RV, it's not an 18-wheeler, it's not a Sprinter van, but it is not a small vehicle by any means. And I was struggling to stay within that narrow sliver of road that they'd allocated to drivers. Honestly, at a certain point, I thought that maybe I wasn't even supposed to be on that road at all, but there were no alternate paths. So I basically had to stay on the right side of the road, of the lane that is, in this big ass van. And I don't know if you can see, but on the side, when you get to the shoulder, there are these little strips, these little dark spots. Those are basically a series of bumps that if you drive over them, they make this sound. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and show you what I'm talking about very, very briefly. So if you heard that just now, if you drive on the shoulder, or if you move too far over to that side, that's basically what you hear. So my whole thing was, okay, I don't think that's good for the tires to be driving on that, especially for a long stretch of road. And the last thing we need is for the tires to be shredded and we're in the middle of nowhere. Because this is the part of the country where you do not want to have any car trouble. As a matter of fact, I went ahead and bought some engine oil today at 7-Eleven just to be safe. I don't even know what to do with the engine oil. I don't know how to put it in the engine. I don't know any of that stuff. What I do know is that we are not going to get stranded because we don't have engine oil. And we're not going to get stranded because we don't have coolant, because we still have a lot of that as well. But the point is, I didn't want to get stranded due to having shredded tires. So I was trying not to drive on the shoulder, which is that section of road on the side, if you didn't know. But again, the van is big and I had a very limited amount of space to work with. So I think what actually happened was I hit one of those little strips very briefly, and because of that, I veered back to the left and I actually hit one of those cones. And they weren't the short cones, they were the tall, skinny cones. And when I saw the cone coming up, I didn't have enough time to react because I was going 55 miles per hour. I had it in cruise control actually, because I'm also not trying to get a speeding ticket out here. But I veered over to that left side, and when I saw it coming up, I thought that the cone was going to have more give to it. Granted, it wouldn't have mattered anyways. At that point, it was inevitable. I was going to hit the cone. But I thought that when I hit it, it was just gonna fly out of the way. No. It had pretty much no give to it, and it hit the side mirror. Thankfully, it only hit the side mirror so hard that the mirror actually fell out of the casing, and I think the mirror broke when it hit up against the side of the van. Now, thankfully, there's no damage literally anywhere else, and based on what ChatGPT told me, I could be wrong about this, hope I'm not, but based on what ChatGPT told me, it's a fairly simple fix. It's probably something that I could even fix myself. But the problem is, because this is a 2005 van, it's an old model, 20 years old, body shops probably aren't going to have that particular part for this particular van. They'd probably have to order it in. And we're literally changing cities every day at this point. So I think the best solution is going to be for me to order one of those mirrors to my parents' house ahead of time, and then whenever we get back, then I can go ahead and fix it. But it's very unfortunate. I was very, very salty about it for probably the next hour and a half. I don't think I said a single word after it happened for a little while. But at a certain point, what can you do? At least the van is still running. And speaking of which, I just want to go ahead and give a quick shout out to anybody who insinuated or even explicitly stated that the van would not make it through this trip. If you said that, then hey, I want to shout you out and put you in the spotlight, because you were absolutely wrong. This van has been so reliable thus far. So reliable. Even if the van broke down right now, knock on wood, I don't have any wood here to knock on, but I'm gonna knock on something. Even if the van just spontaneously broke down right now, it still would have gone very, very far. Much further than I ever would have thought before. Because you have to think about it. We started off in Texas and went east. So we drove all the way to Boston. All the way to Boston. That's over 40 hours of driving. And we took the long way because we went up the coast on top of that. And then we doubled back from Boston all the way to Denver via Chicago. So this van has basically damn near driven across the country twice. It's pretty much crossed this country almost 2 times. And I believe it still has another cross-country trip in it. I hope it does, because otherwise we're gonna get stranded. And again, that is not what we want. But if you said that the van wasn't going to make it, you were wrong. It has already proven you wrong, and I believe it will continue to prove you wrong, because I have no doubt in my mind whenever I turn that key every morning that this van is going to turn on. Now, is it perfect? No. There are definitely a couple of issues, one in particular that I can think of, but nothing that actually affects the driving experience. You can tell it is a bit old. Earlier when we were driving up the mountain, honestly, I couldn't even get it past 50 miles per hour, and people were zooming past us, but it didn't break down. It kept going. So honestly, I'd rather drive 50 miles per hour than, well, walk in a place like this especially. But speaking about this place, again, it's just gorgeous. And I don't even want to allow my mind to get acclimated to this, because just yesterday we were driving through Nebraska, and Nebraska is a whole bunch of nothing. If you're from Nebraska, no offense to you, but that whole part of the country, Nebraska, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, it's just a whole bunch of nothing. If you like fields, you'll love it. But I don't personally prefer fields. I prefer stuff like this. So I find this to be much, much easier on me mentally, driving those long distances when I have scenery like this. And thankfully for most of the rest of the trip, I will have scenery like this. But we are in the Switzerland of America. These are the Rocky Mountains, which are basically our equivalent of the Alps, the Swiss Alps. I really want to visit the Alps as well, but I'm curious to know, if you visited both before, comment below which one you prefer, because I don't really know what the difference is between them. I think the Alps have the highest peak, but I think the Rockies are bigger in that they cover more land area. Could be wrong about that, correct me if I'm wrong. But I do want to visit the Alps for sure. I know that Switzerland has this train, I think it's a bullet train actually, that goes through the Alps. So I really want to try that. I want to try riding one of those ski lifts up to the top of the mountain. Don't think I'm going to try skiing or snowboarding personally, but I'll watch other people do it. I'll watch Nadia try it maybe. But after we take the ski lift up, we'll probably take the ski lift back down and just file that memory away in our mental reserve. This right here is just crazy beautiful. I'm probably gonna have a very difficult time picking out a thumbnail for this video, because literally the whole entire video has been scenic. But right now we are heading to Utah. Haven't been to Utah either, and I've heard that Utah is also very, very beautiful, just like this. So we'll see. I guess Utah may be the Austria of America. Don't know if that's a fair comparison. But even on the topic of comparisons, even when you compare the cities in Switzerland and Colorado, Denver is similar to Zurich in the sense that if you go to these places, you would expect, if you didn't know much about them, you would expect there to be mountains in those places. And that's the expectation that I had when I went to both places before, because I have spent 22 hours in Switzerland, in Zurich, Switzerland specifically, on a layover, and I also had maybe a 3 or 4 hour layover in Denver before. And flying into both of these cities, I was very shocked to find that there were no mountains. But the beauty of these cities is that you have access to the mountains, so you're maybe an hour or two away from stuff like this, but you don't have the inconveniences that come with actually living in the mountains, such as one of these rocks spontaneously falling and knocking your home off of its foundation. But honestly, I'm just yapping at this point. We don't see stuff like this in Texas. We do not see stuff like this in Texas, and we don't see stuff like this in the Netherlands either. So we're both kind of in awe right now. Granted, Nadia has seen the Alps before. I haven't, but this right here is by far the craziest mountain range I have ever personally witnessed. It's a very, very nice area. Let me actually step out of the car really quickly just to show you. This is an absolutely gorgeous area.